What is going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen, and it is time for another Friday Night Live. What is up? What is up? Hey, everybody. Let me get over here and open up my chat. How's everybody doing today? Applin's Heart's having a hard time over at Clarksville? No kidding. It's the middle of the summertime. That lake is awesome. But, dude, it took me a good solid 8 years to learn it and to get consistent with it. And it changed all the time. I need to get down there and see what it's like. I haven't been there in 4.5 years. So, goodness gracious. But Brett Coleman, how you doing, man? Hey, JD. Christopher, hey, man. Oh, goodness. I've been catfish fishing. Andrew, how's it going? Stefan, what's up? Man, my ear itches for some reason. Got bugs in it or something. Hey, Butch, how you doing, man? Hey, Ed, if I yawn a lot today, it's because I got up at 6 o'clock this morning and went out, worked in the garden before the rain showed up. So I'm kind of a little bit whooped, but it is what it is. Ed Wolf, how you doing? Sticks and Snares. I like that. I like that name, man. Welcome. Everybody who's here is just listening to my podcast. Welcome to you guys also. If you guys don't know, this podcast this Friday Night Live is recorded and placed onto my podcast every week. So you guys can go watch it on Apple Podcast and Spotify and several others. But those are the two majors. So awesome. Welcome, everybody. Pond Life with that Mosier boy. What's going on, man? Dylan Fuqua, what's up, brother? How are you? Oh, my beard's a lot better than yours. Yours looks all raggedy because you're still young. You're still working on being able to grow a full one, but I'm going to rag you anyway because you're my friend. Sam, what's going on? Brett Coleman, Jay Rofton, Nick Smith. Lisa, how are you? What's up? But yeah, it's been a pretty good day. Real quick, we've got a show sponsor for the next few weeks. It's my first non-endemic show sponsor. And basically what it is, and I talked about this last week, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it this week. I've actually got notes this time, or at least a few of them. But it's called the Signal Relief Patch. When I first got this, I thought it was like voodoo witch magic. Here, I'll take mine off. It's stuck right here. And it's the craziest stinking thing. It's just this patch that you put a sticky adhesive, and it's not super sticky. As you see, I took it off my back pretty easy without without ripping all my hairs out. But it's, you put it on there, and like I'll get, if I'm on the computer a lot or I'm sitting in my bed on my computer, I get out at aches all up in my shoulders and in my neck and stuff like that. And I throw that thing on there when they first sent it to me, and 5 minutes later, I was able to turn my head. And that's kind of the way it is. It's just kind of the weirdest, coolest thing that I've seen in a long, long time. They're not cheap, but they last for years, and years and years. There's no way to destroy them. They take the place of Tylenol and ibuprofen and all the other. I use so much ibuprofen, I call it vitamin I. But the other cool thing is there's a 120-day money-back guarantee. So if you don't like it within 120 days, you can send it back to them and they'll give you your money back. But if you go to the link down in the description and buy one, $40. See, they were going to give me some, a percentage of each sale. All of that percentage goes towards my favorite, my favorite charity, Special Ops Survivor, which takes care of the wives and the children of our special ops guys who don't make it back home. And so Special Ops Survivor, you guys know I've been promoting them for years, several years. And so $40 goes towards them. And if you use the code Fluke1, you get a huge discount, which is really cool. So check them out. Signal Relief, the link's down in the description. Let's get rocking and rolling. Goodness gracious. Yeah, Nick, you were on the wrong account. Got Nick, the informative fisherman, in here. What's going on? Army Outdoors, thanks for the $20, man. He says, hey, what's up, dude? It's Ralph. Oh, it's Ralph Boyd. I didn't even recognize you on your picture. Good to see you, bro. Still got to get down there and fish with you. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I'm pretty wide open, but I got to stay home. I got to stay close to home, and then I got to go to ICAST. So that's my next few things. I got some stuff after that are in the works. So 65 Roses, how's it going, man? He says, I came across your videos a few years ago because I wanted to take my kids fishing, and we all were able to catch our first bass together. Keep up the great work. That's awesome, dude. Appreciate it. Thank you, man. And thanks for taking your kids fishing. Isn't it awesome? And Jordan, for the first time, Jordan was like, Dad, like last night at like 8 o'clock, he's like, Dad, I want to go home. I'm hungry. He's 18 years old now, or 17 years old now. He's like, I'm hungry. I want to go home. And he never says that. And so it's great to have kids that just love to go fishing. But awesome. Nick, welcome, man. He said, beer racing stripes look good, brother. That's what my kids call them. I started drinking 100% tart cherry juice lately. Helps a ton with aches and pains. It does. The keto diet does me because a lot of my pain is inflammatory. And so, but this is like Tylenol. Really, it is. And for your wives and your girlfriends or, your older teenage daughters, it works during that time of the month too. It's pretty cool. So, hey, Fluke, any tourneys coming up for you? I'm actually fishing one right now, and I probably should put the code down in the description, but I can't go back and do it right now. But we're doing a charity tournament on Tourney X called Save JT. And it's about this little boy who's 3 years old fighting for his life. He's got a super, super rare disease. I think only 9 people in the world have it right now. They're not expected, the kids that get it aren't expected to live past 4 or 5 years old, but they can find a cure, or they can cure this disease, but they need to raise the money to be able to pay the researchers to do it, because there's so few people that have it. It's hard to find that money. So we're raising money. We've already raised like $40-something thousand, maybe up to 50,000 now. And you just go to Tourney X, find the Save JT tournament, and enter that tournament whether you're going to fish or not. And it's a $50 entry fee, and 100% of that goes towards Save JT. And so it's freaking awesome, man. So it'll be in my next video that I'm going to launch tomorrow. Matter of fact, when I get off of here, I'm going to queue it up to launch and get ready to launch it for tomorrow. So anyway, man, that's what's going on. James Smith says, hey, man, I took my 4-year-old son fishing Tuesday. He caught a pretty good sized catfish. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. A catfish wasn't my first fish. When I was a teenager, my catfishing is what got me more interested in bass fishing. So what's up, Fluke Master? Me and my kids met you outside of the expo. That's awesome, man. That was awesome. I met so many people at the Classic. It was pretty cool. It wasn't as busy as I thought it would be, but maybe it was because, people are still kind of scared of COVID, which I don't blame them. So, hey, Gene, what's a good technique for my girlfriend to learn to catch bass? She's great looking, but awful with a drop shot. It's a nice way of saying it. Goodness gracious. Texas rig and Ned rigs. You want to set her up with 2 different types of baits, a type that she can fish on the bottom, and a type that she can throw it out and wind it back in. So like a small spinner bait, or in a Ned rig or a Texas rig or something like that. So, oh goodness, Ryan, thank you, man. Jeff Howell, how you doing, man? He said, what's up, brother? Love you, man. I love you too, bro. Man, I love all y'all. It's awesome. Do you think you could be where you're at if you started from scratch now? Oh my goodness, I've never been asked that question. Yes, I think I could be there faster though. When I first started YouTube, there weren't a whole lot of viewers. There was, my first 1,000 views on that Spro Frog video I did 100 years ago with Ryan. Oh my goodness. It took 6 months to get that. There just weren't a lot of people on YouTube when I started. And so, it was through 2 or 3 years before I found out you could make money doing it. And another year and a half to maybe a year or maybe 2 years to get my first $100 check from YouTube. And so, yeah, it would go a lot faster. I'd grind a lot harder than I am right now. But definitely if guys start right now and they really work their tail off and work 3 times harder than I did, then maybe they can get it rocking and rolling. So goodness. Chris Castile, he said, what's up? I'm from Oklahoma near Gibson Lake, and the lakes and ponds are very muddy and stained. Any color suggestions? Yeah, go. I'm going to pitch a video, but go watch my video on how to choose colors. That'll kind of explain it all. But the colors I would go with are dark colors, black and blue, or black. Really is about the only ones I'm going to throw on jigs and soft plastics and that kind of stuff. And then spinner baits, I'm going to throw a really bright one like a chartreuse or a chartreuse in white with blades that are called Colorado blades that thump, that have a lot of vibration. So you can reel them super slow and they vibrate and the bass can feel it through their lateral line. The other one is your crankbaits, bright colored crankbaits are the ones that I'd be throwing the most. And so you're thinking vibration, or they want to be able to see a silhouette or get a good look as they get closer to it. So that's kind of what you want to think of with the colors. And muddy water will keep the fish shallow, and so they're not going to go super deep on you. So Roger, man, thanks for the $5. He says, what do you think about beetle spins, and are they good for catching bass? Yes, in the wintertime is when I catch most of my bass on a tail spin or a beetle spin, which I was telling a story to a guy day before yesterday, and I could not think of beetle spin. All I could think of was tail spin, but I love a beetle spin. I used to have a bunch of them. So snap time. Any hints you can share about Bonafide's big news coming in a few days? No, not at all. Yeah, I love those guys. I'm not going to even hint at it. I have a hint, and that's all I've got. So, no, yeah, I got a hint. Never mind. David Zaremba. Gene, I'm flying to Alaska to fish for the first time. Any advice on traveling with rods? Whew. Yeah. If you're going to get okay, this is what I typically do when I ship a rod. And what I do when I travel is I ship my rods to where I'm going, because it's more likely to get there unbeat up by UPS and FedEx than it is by the airport. I used to be I used to work at Delta Air Cargo back when I was 20 and 21, something like that, 19. I can't remember how old I was. But anyway, so what I do is when I pack them, I take a pool noodle and I cut the pool noodle into little pieces about this long. And then I cut a slit down the pool noodle so I can wrap that pool noodle around my fishing rods. And what that does is I'll put 5 or 6 of them along my rods, and it suspends the pool noodle inside your rod tube. So if you're going to travel with your rods, put a pool noodle around it, tape it once with some duct tape, and just let it suspend those rods, and then put a longer pool noodle over the tips and tape the end of those so it doesn't slide down your rods. And that gives you the best chance of getting them there without being broken. So David Myers, he says, I've seen you fish a jig several times. New video. I've never seen you fish a bucktail jig. Any reason, pros or cons? I don't have any. It's one of those things where, like, a couple of years ago, I was like, you know what? Maybe I ought to fish a few bucktail jigs, because I'm real close to the Tennessee River. That's where people fish them all the time, that kind of stuff. And I just have never bought one. And that's the only reason why. Maybe it's something I need to put on my list for this year. But yeah, dude, that's the reason. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. I'm trying to flip through. Yeah, Nick's right. He says Beetle Spin was the first Ned rig. Ned gave credit himself. Just look at the wire and the wire and the blade off. Oh, just took the wire and the blade off. Okay. I got you. Will JJ's ever come in pen form? No, it won't, because of the chemical, the base chemical at JJ's evaporates so easily. Putting it in a pen form would be, it wouldn't last long. It really, really wouldn't last long at all. So is 12-pound fluoro good line for the jabber jaw? Yeah, that's the minimum size that I would use for any square bill. Jabberjaw or not is 12 pound. So just because of the kind of stuff I'm throwing it into. Let's see. I saw a couple of comments about the Bonafide. Been fishing kayak tourneys in Michigan, have a lake with clear water with weeds down 15 feet. What are the best techniques for thick and deep grass? Let me think. When I've got deep grass that's like down to 15, I like to crank. Really, I like to get that crankbait down and just tick the tops of that grass, get the bass to come out and react to it, that kind of stuff. Another thing that I'll do is I'll flip a Texas rig and I'll hop it up and out of that grass and up and out of that grass. If they're kind of not in the mood to react to baits and they don't really want to chase much, excuse me, take like a cut-tail worm, some type of a swimming worm, like a speed worm or a cutter worm from Strike King, that kind of stuff, and put a light bullet weight on the front, like a 1/8 ounce, maybe a 16th ounce might be too light, but like a 1/8 ounce, and throw it out, let it sink all the way down to that grass, and then just drag it over on the top of that grass. But that weight will help keep it down, and you'll get a lot of fish that way. I do that in Florida a lot when the hydrilla is just starting to grow and it's down fairly deep. So, hey, Gene, I'm in Texas and I'm really trying to catch my new PB. What should I throw in a 10 to 15 acre pond to catch a 10 pounder at this time of the year? A big worm. I am a fan of the Zoom Magnum Old Monster. It is 14 inches long. It's huge. You got to have a 5/0 EWG or a 6/0, like a Gamakatsu EWG, to be able to do it, and use either braided line or a really strong line, just because that's such a thick worm that you really got to set the hook hard. And a super line EWG is what I would be using. So craziness. Good luck, man. But that's what I'm throwing right now. I've got to catch in the tournament this month. Last I checked, I was in second place. It's gonna be hard to beat the guys from Texas. It's a nationwide tournament. It's gonna be really hard. I'm probably gonna be in the top 5 if I keep going the way I'm going. At least that's my goal. My main goal is just to catch the biggest limit that I've caught out of my local pond. And right now I've got 113 inches or something like that. So I'm throwing big worms and big bull shad swim baits and big paddle tail swim baits, nothing but big baits for the rest of the month. So, and jigs, because they catch big fish. I've never had luck with jigs. Any advice? Upstate New York, mud bottom with a lot of weed cover. You got to find, if you've got a lake that's got mostly muddy bottom, you've got to find those steeper drops, because those steeper drops are where the silt isn't going to be able to settle. If you don't have any rock, if you've got rock, fish the rock. If you got rocky bottoms, fish the rocky bottoms. But if you don't have either of those, you're looking for those steep drops off of points and off of the steeper banks. And you find harder bottom there. I cannot catch a fish on a jig in soft, muddy bottom. It has to be a hard break or hard bottom. So, David's, oh no, went fishing yesterday. Oh, he caught 4 bass at a $250 bait caster. Goodness. Were you on my home lake? Because I watched a poor guy lose a really expensive rig, and I spent like an hour and a half trying to find it for him. Oh man, it was stuck. Rolando Torres, what is up, Dr. Torres? Man. Never know what's but now. Dr. Torres and us, I go way back to Army days, way back. One of the greatest men I've ever known. He's always in a good mood. Emergency room physician, just an awesome dude. So, man, dude, it's good to hear from you. He says, never know what is biting, and I look everywhere. By any chance, you know what is biting at Clarks Hill Lake this time of the year? Miss you, bro. Bluegill, man, bluegill. So, because I know you keep all the fish you eat. So, bluegill. Bass are biting too, but I want to, you know me, I want to save my bass. So love you, man. I miss you and your family. That's awesome. Oh man. See you, Nick. He's probably already gone. That was 5 minutes ago. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. Try to get a little bit caught up. Zach Hill, what's going on? Just got another baitcaster. Keep backlashing. I don't know why. Break set to 5. Whew. Thinking it's the line memory from the new line. Any advice? Probably not the line memory. If the brakes are set at 5, this is what you need to do. Take it out. Put whatever. It doesn't matter what you're casting. Just make sure it's something like 3/8 ounce, or you don't want something really light, like a 1/4 ounce or less. But anything 1/4 ounce or more, you'll be all right. But you turn your brake all the way to 0. Let your line out about 4 or 5 inches, and then loosen that side knob that's on the handle side. Loosen that up. All right, hit the button. Oh, let me do that again. 4 inches. Tighten that knob on the side up. Hit the button and then loosen it up until your bait just barely starts to fall on its own. Then take your brakes and turn them up halfway and go fish. Go cast it. Go practice that way. That's how you set those type of bait casters. But make sure that bait's just barely falling. And as you get better, you can make it to where it's falling a little faster and a little faster, and you'll be golden, man. That's probably what the problem is. It's probably that cast control knob that's on the handle side. So what are some great techniques for shallow grass? Need help trying to get finicky bass. I've got probably 4 or 5 videos on how to fish bass in the grass, but I'm going to tell you my favorite technique and then go back and watch those 4 or 5 videos. Is, like I said just a little while ago, a cut tail worm or some type of a worm with a swimming tail. The worms typically look like a Cinco with a tail is what they typically look like. And then I take a lightweight, an 1/8 ounce, maybe a 5/16. If I'm fishing really shallow, a 1/16 ounce, just enough to pull that worm down, but not penetrate the grass. And I'm going to cast it out. And I'm using 15-pound test because when they bite, I'm going to rip them out of the grass and I don't want to break off. So I'm going to use 15 to 17-pound test, throwing it out and just slowly dragging it through that grass. And you want it to pop out of that grass and just keep on going. And then the best grass that you want to look for are the clumpy grass that have holes in it or have space between the clumps. And that will be the best area if you can find that. So if not, fish the outside edge, the deeper edges of the grass, and you should be all right. Who donated $5? Austin, thanks, man. Any suggestions for a fun lake to fish? We live in Cincinnati and have already fished Norris Lake and Dale Hollow. We're thinking about Lake Barkley. Barkley's a fun one. Kentucky Lake's not bad either. Don't listen to the people about the carp. The bass are still there. I like the southern end of Kentucky. I like the southern end of Barkley too. So that wouldn't be too bad. If you can get down to Chickamauga, it's a pretty good lake. I'm trying to think of it. Dale Hollow's really good. There's some good ones up around you, but yeah, Dale Hollow's probably a little bit more of a drive. But Barkley's a really, really good lake. I fished it like twice though, so I'm not the expert in it by any means. So thanks, man. Appreciate the $5, man. Really do. Let's see. I'm trying to find a certain comment. Hey, what would you throw after a big storm? Typically, if there's thunder and lightning, I typically am going to slow way, way down. I'm going to go and try to. It tends to, in my experience, thunder and lightning just turns the bass off completely. And it's really hard, and I'm not going to expect much after it. If it's just a hard rain, then I'm going to go fish spinnerbaits. I'm going to fish crankbaits. I'm going to fish hard and fast because it typically will turn them on, push them up especially in the summertime, push them up into the shallower water or the higher up in the water column because that water has just gotten aerated by that rain. So there's more oxygen up there, and the bait fish will move up a little bit and everything else. So that's typically what I'll do. But yeah, it just all depends on what kind of rain it was. So Roger Hall, what's going on, man? Oh, okay. Damon says the guy caught his fishing rig today. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I'm glad, because I was going to spend another couple hours Monday and try to see if I could catch it. So he was tore up, man. Oh man, I got to watch him drop it in the water too. Poor guy. And then he caught it and dropped it, and oh, it was nuts. Jay Rofton talking about the guy with that had the real problem. He says, dunk it in the water, it will throw better. No, not mine, man. Mine are so loose. If I dunk them in the water, the next 10 cast will be the worst backlashes you've ever seen in your life. Just because I have run my reels so loose already, and then you drop them in water and it frees them up even more, and it's a disaster. So goodness gracious. Any experience with the 13 Envy rods looking to replace a very sensitive rod I broke recently? Yeah, they're actually really, really good, especially for the price range. I've got an Envy swim bait rod, an original Envy, and then I just bought another one. But the one that they sent me originally was like $80. And I'm like, dudes, there is no way you can make a rod that'll cast a 14-ounce bait for $80. I said, there's no way. And I tried my hardest to break that thing. And I tried my hardest to make it to where it wouldn't work with a bull shad. And I throw an 8 and 9 inch bull shad on it, the big ones. I've got an 11 inch I've thrown on it. And so it really works. And they're great. They're good rods. 13 does a really good job of keeping each rod line up to date. And they keep, improving each rod line every time it comes around. And you watch them every year. They get rid of a certain rod and then bring it back with different components and better stuff. So that's what I love about 13, man. They really keep things rocking and rolling over there. Is this a good time to throw top water early in the morning? You bet it is. 100% it is. Because they're up shallow and they're running all night long, and you've got that window from the time that it starts to get daylight all the way till the sun comes up and hits the water. You got about another 15 minutes after that, and then that topwater bite will die off. So Austin says, any suggestion for a fun lake? Oh, I already saw that one. Sorry. I was looking for that $10 dono. Oh, Hodge family, thanks for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate it. I really need to turn on YouTube to see what the super stickers look like. But I run this off of a StreamYard. So, but I really do appreciate the $10. Thanks, man. JD Duncan, thanks for the $10. Says, hey brother, thanks for your guidance and videos. I picked up a Concept A2 with a 7.6 Omen Black and a Bonafide SS127 in the same week. Oh my goodness. The old lady ain't happy, but I'm having fun. Keep it up, brother. Oh, Tyler, what's going on? Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah. Tyler just did. He just dropped a really good video on gear ratios. I wonder if he got any of that info from one of my old videos. No, I'm kidding, Tyler. I'm kidding. Goodness gracious. Oh, dude. Tyler's one of my favorite YouTubers, guys. Go check him out. Can't wait till G-Man gets his signature rod out. I haven't heard anything about it. That'd be cool. I'd love to see him do it. So I won't let him do it for me. I don't want a signature rod. So maybe one day I'll have my own rods, but I doubt it. Jordan Moore, how many times do you plan on fishing Rocky Mountain? It's so easy. It's 10 minutes down the road. It's right there. And so this month, my goal, every other month when I fish the KBF Challenge Series tournaments, they're a month long, and I limit myself to 5 days maximum. And usually it's only 3 or 4 days that I'm able to fish the tournament. And I do that so it kind of levels the playing field with everybody else who's fishing the tournament. But I've always left myself thinking, what kind of limit can I put up if I'm able to fish every day that I possibly can? No maximum, just fish and fish and fish Rocky. And that's what I'm doing this month. So I fished 5 days or 4 days. I have 113.75 inches or something like that. And my goal is 120 inches. If I get 117, I'll be happy. So guys, 117 inch limit is 5 fish that are all about 8 pounds is what it is. And so I'm really, really trying to do that hard. So let's see. All right. Any tips for centrifugal brakes versus magnetic brakes? With centrifugal brakes, what I like to set it, I still go and set it at half. Most of those brake systems have 6 different pins, and I usually pull 3 of them out. Just make sure that they're staggered evenly, so every other one is pulled out. Is what I do. With magnetic brakes, it's just a dial, and still I go to half. When I've got everything set, I go back to half, and I leave it at that. So the new 13 centrifugal brakes, they are made of a little bit different material. So that all the new concepts like the A2 and the C2 and those centrifugal brakes, because they're a different material, they're a little bit slicker. So I actually go from 3 and popped it up to 4. And so they're just a lot smoother anyway. So anyway, that's kind of how I do it. Let's see. That's a good question from Gene. I love it, man. That's awesome. While fishing, should you fish the deepest cove you can find, or just the deepest part of the cove you're in? Just the deepest part of the cove is where I start. I'm not saying only fish that spot, but that's where I typically will start. Just like a pond, a farm pond, I'm going to start on the deepest part of that pond, and I'm going to work my way around. And they like to hang at that spot where it goes from the steepest bank up to where it starts to get flat. And so they like to be in those type of areas, but I'm going to start at that steepest bank, and I'm going to work my way around. So definitely, it doesn't have to be the deepest pocket in the whole lake. What's your favorite topwater throw early in the morning? A buzzbait is probably my favorite. A hammerhead from Greenfish Tackle, if you really want to know what my favorite buzzbait is. The other one I'll throw is maybe a hollow body frog, like a Spro or a 13 Trash Panda, something like that. But typically it's going to be a buzzbait. So Ricky Jennings, I don't know much about Shimano. He asked about the Shimano SLX DC reel. I don't fish Shimano, and I didn't fish Shimano before I met started working with 13. Just never been a Shimano fan. So, let's see. Roblox player, any recommendations for big fish in ponds? I just like to drag a big soft plastic around for big fish in ponds. So, and I've caught a lot of big fish in ponds. I really have. But yeah, just something like a creature bait or even a big worm, just a big soft plastic, if you're just looking for those big fish. So gonna have to change your name to Gene Butch Brown, 50-pound limit. Oh man, I would love a 50-pound limit. I still haven't broke double digits on that lake. I caught a dozen over 9 last year, and not a one of them was over 10, but it's coming. So what do you think about the 13 Fishing Concept Sport Z? It's the smoothest reel I've ever used. It is. The Inception Sport Z is, I said concept, didn't I? Inception Sport Z. It's a very smooth reel. Those zero bearings, they call the CZB bearings, they are really, really smooth, and they stay smooth for a long time. I really love them. The new Z Slide is awesome because it's got all those bearings, and it's really, really good. I can't wait to show you some of the new stuff coming out from 13. So Drew Stunts, thanks for the $10, man. He says, I'm flipping with a 3/0 flipping hook, 30-pound braid on the heavy, fast rod. I seem to be ripping a hole in their mouth, allowing them to get off easier. Am I doing something wrong? A 3/0 flipping hook, 30-pound braid, and a heavy, fast rod. Yes. To be honest with you, you need to give them a little bit more. If you're going to use, and I'm going to tell you this just because you're ripping a hole in them because you're setting the hook really hard. Switch to a medium heavy rod, see what happens. Still set the hook the same way, same braid, just pop that reel off, put it on. If you've got a medium heavy rod, put it on a medium heavy rod and do the same thing. That braid, because it has no give, something's got to give. I typically flip, unless I'm punching in thick grass or I'm working around thick grass, I'm typically flipping 20-pound fluorocarbon because there's just some give in that fluorocarbon. Not a lot, but there's enough to prevent that from happening. So, but yeah, man, that's what I would try. Just go to a medium heavy rod and just do the same thing and watch what happens. So appreciate it. Thanks for the $10, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Burks, man, thanks for the $4.99. Awesome. Let's see. Ricky Jennings, here's a follow-up. He says, gotcha. Thanks, man. Can you recommend a really good solid reel? I'm great with bait casters. Been using them for about 7 years now, thinking of upgrading from Abu Garcia Walmart special. Woo! There's a lot of upgrades from the Abu Garcia Walmart special. Dude, to be honest with you, if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, that Inception reel is excellent. I can't remember what the price is on this, on the Sport Z, but it's a really good reel. The Inception itself is a good reel. If $120 is how much that one is. But yeah, that's kind of the price range I would start with is between 100 and 140. Is if you were looking for a good step up, a good solid step up. That's the kind of the price range. No matter what brand you look at, that's about the price range I'd be looking at. So let's see. Bone 23 watched your video over whopper ploppers and decided to buy some gear. I went fishing and caught my PB 9-pound bass. Thank you for the help. Holy crap, dude. That's awesome. Wow, man. Bone, appreciate it, man. That's awesome. Oh, what I wouldn't do for a 9-pound bass right now. Let's see. What's the best to use? This is a good question. Jason Benson. I was thinking about this the other day. So what's the best to use when bass are busting bait fish on the top of the water? A spook, some type of a walking bait is what you're looking for. And you want to fish it fairly fast. So like my favorite one, the one I always go for is a clear Super Spook Junior, and I put a red hook on the front of it so it gives them a target. I work it super fast. I don't want them to get a good look at it. I just want them to see the splash and bite at the splash and the movement. And that red hook is just a target, is all it is. What do you recommend for beginners? I am totally going to pitch my playlist because I do this. I put a playlist together for beginners. I put together all of my best beginner videos. I even added some to it a couple of years ago, but go watch my beginners playlist on my channel. It has helped thousands of people get started. And it really is a good foundation of knowledge to get you rocking and rolling in bass fishing. It really is. And I bet you there's people on here right now that have used it. So awesome. Stephen Guthrie, I am not answering. I'm not even responding to you right now. that ain't even nice, man. Oh, I'm going to sink your boat next time I see you. I'll make sure you're close enough to the bank, though. I really do. What's the best color top water in sunny conditions? I like, let me think. I honestly like a yellow belly frog in really sunny conditions. But to be honest with you, there's not really a best until the bass show you which one they want. It really, if I'm fishing super clear water on sunny days, I'm going to use one that they don't get a very good look at, like that clear spook. If it's, if they're in cover and stuff like that, I'm going to throw a frog. I'm going to play with black bellies, white bellies, yellow bellies, green bellies. I'm just going to play with them until they tell me which ones they want. So let's see. How do you increase flipping distance? I'm pretty accurate at short range. Eli, I'm guessing you meant pitching, because flipping is like when you pull the line out one side and you flip like this and you don't really engage the reel. The reel stays in, or you don't disengage the reel. But pitching, to increase the speed, I do one of two things. I get a longer rod. or I will do it more sidearm so I can get put my wrist and arm into the action and really get it going, especially when I'm skipping docks that way. I'll do a sidearm and just keep it low and going as fast as I can. So the biggest thing is just practice. Get out in your yard and practice, but a little bit more sidearm is usually best for me. There you go to yawn again. Sorry, guys. You guys who missed it, I got up at 6 this morning. I've been getting up at 6 every morning and working in my garden. But yeah, I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. But do you have any recommendations and experience with South Georgia Lake? Zachary, I don't. I've fished a few private ones down there, but haven't fished very many publics. Any of the public fishing areas down there are really good and well managed, but I don't know much about them. I really don't. I need to get down there. I just don't have anywhere to stay when I'm down there. So it's just in the sticks. I might just go camping, but I'm not going to do it this time of the year. That's for sure. Anton said, you told me you went caribou hunting in Quebec. That's awesome. Yeah, I did. My graduation present from my father was a caribou hunt up in northern Quebec. I think it was more of a trip for him, and he used my graduation for an excuse. So, but yeah, once most of the kids were out of the house, he actually had money to go do some fun stuff. But I'm the 7th of 8 children, so that's, that kind of gives you guys an idea. Ricky Jennings, man, thanks for the $5, brother. I appreciate you. When to fish in Alabama rig? Best time to fish it is in the wintertime. Eli said, yep, that's what I mean. That's good, man. That's good. Stefan says, I couldn't get any bass last weekend, but I hooked up a double on some reds. Oh, dude, I hate you right now. Oh, I'd love to go redfish fishing. Maybe I'll do it this October. Let's see. Hodge family says, I've watched all the beginners videos. They are a great foundation. Gene updates his techniques all the time as well. Yeah, I do. I'm trying to do several update videos that are just fresh videos of the same content that I've done. It's hard to not redo, videos when you have 750 of them. So Emily Larson, how you doing? She goes, so when I cast my bait caster in my yard, I'm really good at it. But when I get to the lake, I mess up and I don't know why. Huh. I don't know. That's not one of those things I'm going to have to see. I don't know. Oh, man. You can expect a few backlashes, though. And as you get better, they'll get fewer and fewer. I mean, I backlash probably full day of fishing, 8 hours, probably 4 times an hour, and that's because I fish a lot of loose line techniques, a lot of slack line techniques, that kind of stuff. So I get a lot of slack in the reel, and it tends to backlash easier. Eli Sell says, I watched your pitching video on how to do it. Do you have any more advanced pitching? I don't. I have one where I talk about doing it out of a kayak, but that's about it. So, Austin, thanks for the advice on a shorter frog rod. Tried to find the 13F one, but had to go with a Dobbins 6.6 heavy, which is a good one. I have T-Rex arms, and the short rod makes it easier to walk. It does, no matter how long your arms are. My first short reason I fell in love with short rods was a Dobbins Champion Extreme 6.8 heavy that I used to have, or it was just a Champion, the original Champions. And I sold it to a buddy of mine. And about 6 weeks later, I just realized I shouldn't have sold it. I tried to buy it back from him, but he had sold it to somebody else 2 days before. But best dang good rod. 6.6 heavy would be perfect for walking a frog. So. That's a good idea for you, Emily. She said, Michael Moon jumped on there and said, stand on a platform in your yard if you're fishing from a boat. Yeah, it may be just because your elevation. So, Karen says, I never catch anything but turtles. Oh, my goodness. Q Eccles. Hey, Q, what's going on, man? Holy cow, I haven't seen you in 100 years, brother. Oh man, how has the XI3 changed your fishing? How has the XI3 changed my fishing? Goodness gracious. Man, I'm able to cover more water. I don't worry about how tired I am when I get to a spot. I can run 2-3 miles with no big deal. And while I'm running, I'm rigging rods, I'm eating lunch, I'm drinking, I'm doing all the stuff I don't want to do while I'm fishing. I can spot lock it or what they call pinpoint. I can drop a pin. I can stop it right there, stay in one spot. I can fish that spot for as long as I want without worrying about moving in the wind. It doesn't jar me side to side. It is completely, when I don't use the word game changer or the phrase game changer hardly ever, because nothing is a game changer in the fishing industry except for right now electronics and propulsion. Those are the two things that are coming out in the market right now, or in the process of, that change the way you fish. And the XI3 has changed the way I fish and made it a lot easier for me to do my stuff. So huge pitch for them, but I love it. Absolutely love having a trolling motor on my kayak. And I really do not want to fish any kayak tournaments that don't allow motors. So it gets me out of my game, and I'm already at a disadvantage when I feel like when I enter those tournaments. Maybe I suck, but I don't know. So, man, good to see you, Q. Really do. Emily Larson, make sure to tune your bait caster to wind if there is any. Wind can be brutal on lakes and cause backlashes. They can, especially if you're throwing light baits like crankbaits and that kind of stuff. Seth, thanks for helping her out, man. What's a good length rod for skipping docks? I like a 6'8" to 6'10", maybe a 7-foot medium heavy rod. And so and just the shorter the rod for skipping docks, just easier to get up underneath there. And you want to have a little bit of tip to it too. So medium heavy or a heavy, but just make sure that heavy's got some flex just in the tip of it. That's, you'll know what I'm talking about when you try it, and you'll know what I'm saying you know what I'm saying. What are your top 3 plastics for the summer? A ribbon-tail worm, a larger ribbon-tail worm, and an even larger ribbon-tail worm. That's it. That's all I'm throwing right now. If I had a lake with grass and that kind of stuff, I'd be throwing a fluke. And like I said earlier, a worm that has some type of a swimming tail, like a speed worm or a cutter worm or that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely. It's got, right now it's all just ribbon tail worms. I just throw big worms all summer long. I really do. I've already gone through 8-9 packs of them in the last 2 months. So I got to go buy some more this week. Oh my goodness. That's a loaded question, Noel. So Noel Benny asks, he says, how do you choose the lure you fish with, or the lure you fish when you are fishing? Wow. So before I start, let me tell you this. The most important thing about bass fishing, the most important thing that you can study is how to find the fish. You can't catch a fish that's not there. So once you get, as you're practicing these lures and stuff like that, always try to focus first on, are there any fish in my area? What's here? Is there life and that kind of stuff? And I talk about that a lot, but that's one of the first things. Now, to choose a lure is like putting the pieces together. What have the conditions been the last 3 days? What's the water color right now? That's the first thing I look at when I get to a lake, is I look at the water clarity. How deep can I see a bait? And so if it's not very deep, depending on that clarity is the color of the bait I'm going to be using, or even the type of the bait. The water temperature, the time of the year, just all of the factors that can change a bass's mood, because the bass are as moody as a crazy woman. I mean, just moody. And so you really, over years of trial and error and stuff like that, you try to remember, what were the conditions when I caught bass last, that kind of stuff. And so that's what determines the baits that you're going to try. Now, the baits that the bass want, you let them determine that. You try several different styles, bottom baits, moving baits, reaction baits that you jerk and pull and pop and all this other stuff. fast bait, slow baits. You just try them and let the bass tell you. They'll tell you what they want if they're in the area. If they swing at one, you're almost to the one that they want, or the type that they want. Notice I haven't said the specific bait, because a bass can hit a number 2 pencil if it's presented right. So you just want to find a bait that can be presented right to them, and then they'll bite it. Right now, I am slowly dragging a worm and a jig on the bottom, as slow as I possibly can, and I'm getting bit. Sometimes I'm able to sit drag the bait up to a rock and just sit it there for like 15 seconds. Just sit it there. And all of a sudden, boom, I get bit and I set the hook. I mean, you just never know. And you always try to remember what got me the bite, the last bite, or what, did the bass follow it up? There's so many different things to put the puzzle together. I could do hours on that, but dude, seriously, get to the point where you can find the fish and then worry about what baits you're going to fish, in the process to get them. So Rippin' Woodworks, thanks for the $5, brother. He says, what's up, Fluke? Late to the party, but on good note, I just bought my first fishing kayak. Woo! Not a bona fide, but it's a start. Yeah, man, I don't care what you buy. I honestly don't. I love my bona fide, but dude, you just get what you can get. Make sure it floats, and then eventually just, keep upgrading till you get the one that is perfect for you. A bona fide right now is perfect for me. I have rigged that thing up to the point where I don't even want to get a new bona fide. I want to keep the boat that I've got because it's rigged so perfect for me. And if you can find a kayak like that, man, you're golden. Let's see. Mr. Yeatmans, he says, what would you throw at night? I like to throw kind of the same baits I throw during the day. I may throw a little bit of a rattle into them. So I'll put a worm rattle in a worm, or I'll put rattles on a jig. But I still am going to throw a jig or a worm. I might throw a buzz bait a little later on in the evening. Typically it takes an hour or two for them to really get up shallow and get good to where you can catch them on a buzz bait. But that's typically what I do. Where did Tyler's Real Fishing go? He usually just drops in to promote himself and then leaves. That knucklehead. Do I ever use custom painted lures? I have 1 or 2 bull shads that are custom painted. Actually, I've got 3. But I don't typically. I've got a bait right here. This is the 13 Fishing Gordito. This is actually one of the prototypes I worked on. As you can see, it's all it's all molded. It's just the bill and everything else. This isn't what you guys get. This is like the prototype before this final sample, before the production. But I've got a couple of the other ones that are the final prototypes that I'm going to get painted custom and that kind of stuff. But I don't really do a whole lot. So, but yeah, you guys learned a little something. That's what that is. That's what crankbaits look like. Let me get it to focus on me. Hold on. It's not going to let me do it. Let me push a little button back here. That one. There we go. So that's pretty cool. They come like that. This one actually got bit, but I was afraid to fight the fish because I was afraid I was going to break the bait. All right. So let's, we got time for several more questions. Tyler Nelson, other than a Cinco, what would you throw wading a smaller river for a smallmouth? Very grassy, too thick for any not weedless and rocky bottom. I was going to say a Ned rig, but then you said weed and that kind of stuff. So that takes that one out of the mix. Texas rig, but I'm more thinking the soft plastic that I would use. I love, when I'm river fishing for smallies, I love small craw baits. So like the Rage, the baby Rage craw, the Zoom Speed craw, that size on a small jig head or a Texas rig or something like that. Dude, I really love doing that for river smallies. Hold on, let me hit that button again. Come on. It's not going to let me. Yeah. Oh, well. I tried to get it back from when I showed you guys that bait. Do you change lure color for the night? Typically, I don't. unless I'm throwing a super clear bait, I'll usually move to something that shows a silhouette a little bit better. But typically, I won't change colors. What's the minimum line poundage mono or fluoro that you throw? 10 or 12 on bait casters. The minimum I throw is typically 12. 10 if I'm cranking. And so if I need to get really, really deep, I'm going to throw a 10-pound line. But typically I'm cranking with 12-pound. Spinning rod, I'll go all the way down to 2-pound test if I've got to, with a really flimsy, light, medium light rod, that kind of stuff. But typically I'm running 6 or 8-pound test on my fluorocarbon just as a leader. I use a 20-pound main line, but I use a fluorocarbon leader 6 or 8-pound test. So I rarely bump up to 12 on a spinning rod. I just love fighting fish on light line anyway. What's your favorite original lure before all the new technology? Oh man. The fluke. No, I'm just kidding. What would be my favorite lure before all the new technology? A lipless crankbait was probably the one I remember the most. Of course, a spinnerbait, but back in the day. But the lipless crankbait, I had that Strike King Diamond Shad that was 99 cents on sale at Bass Pro that I probably caught 800 fish on. Changed the hooks out multiple times, then lost it off the back of my kayak going down the interstate. And I always said that would be the only bait I dove for. Well, I went back looking for it and couldn't find it. But anyway, so Eli Self, he says, I won a Bonafide SS 107 on a giveaway. Then something happened, so I'm not going to get it. What's a cheaper good kayak to buy? I wonder what happened. Maybe you have to send me a message. I'd like to dig into that. What's a cheaper good kayak to buy? I'm not sure. I really don't. The 117 is a really good one if you're talking about Bonafides. The RS 117 is a really good boat. It's 11 foot 7 inches, but it's less expensive. Waterboy, man, welcome. Thanks for subscribing, brother. I really appreciate it. Welcome. When are we going to see a flutter spoon video? In the fall. That's typically when I can find a flutter spoon bite. I probably could have gotten one the other day. I'm going to put one in the bottom of my kayak just in case. But yeah, it's going to be, it's probably going to be in the fall. So word has it, Illumicraft just started building my next boat. So you'll see a new boat here shortly. Maybe a month, maybe 2. Is a Carolina Chrome Sexy Dog good in sunny conditions? Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one. Like I said, I typically go for clearer baits, but I know Strike King doesn't make a clear bait. But a chrome one would work really good. So favorite type of hard bait would be lipless crankbait. What's a good technique for Oklahoma muddy soft bottom lakes? Anything that does not sink down in the bottom is what I would say. You don't want anything to sit on the bottom like a jig or something like that that's going to get down in the silt. It's just going to be, you're not going to get bit. Does your wife like to go kayak fishing with you? I don't know. She likes to fish when we're out there, but she usually finds other things to do. So I'm not sure what, I'm not sure. She loves it, but then again, she's a busybody. So she always likes to, find other things that she needs to get done before she finds things that she wants to do. So Applin's heart still choking about or crying about Clark Silt, man. Offshore structure. It really is offshore structure. Carolina rigging with a straight tail worm. Go out there and do that, and you'll catch them, man. In the evenings on those humps on the mouth of Keg Creek, they always school up on those humps and have a spook ready. So, what's my favorite chatterbait? The jackhammer. Definitely. Go watch my latest chatterbait video. I talk about the 3 ones that I use, but the jackhammer is my favorite. Do you still snell your flipping hooks? No, Garrett. For a whole year. And I said this a couple of years ago, that I was snelling my hooks and I was missing a lot of fish. They're blowing their mouth open, not getting a lot of hook sets. I know I was snelling it right. I know how to do all that stuff. And I went back to tying my braid directly to with a Palomar knot. And I stopped missing fish. And I don't know why. I can't give you an answer. It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I will snell a knot if I'm fishing something over 1.25 ounces. But other than that, fishing a weight that's over 1.25 ounces when I'm punching. Other than that, I don't snell a knot at all. So, yeah, Eli, do that. He says, I'll send an Instagram DM and explain. What's a good technique for fishing bottom on a muddy, soft bottom lake? So you already asked me that question. I answered it for you. I'm trying to go back and find questions I missed. Let's see. It's a good question, Michael. He says, good evening, Fluke. I was wondering, what's your thoughts on leaders being wound on reels? Does it hurt casting? Best knot for leaders. Thank you. Best knot 100% is the FG knot. Learn how to tie it. It is, I will never use another knot for a leader knot. It's just so skinny that it passes through guides, unless you're using like 15 to 20 pound test fluoro. But it passes through guides without making any noise. It doesn't beat up your line. It lasts forever. I love that knot. Does it hurt your casting if you line it up, wind your leader on reels? No, it does not. With the right knot, it won't. What if you're using like any other knot but the FG knot? Now, the FG knot will do it if it's a really, really long one, but it's that first guide as it comes out of the reel. You'll hear it hit that guide, whack, and that's what's going to hurt your cast is when it hits that first guide. If you're worried about it, end your knot between, or have your knot between the first guide and the second guide, and you'll get the longest cast possible. But typically with a well-tied FG knot that's not super long, you'll get the same issue. You'll get the same distance as you would if it wasn't, if it was up above that guide. So, are you a slackline setter on a jig or a reel and hit? It depends on the style of head. One of the things I'm really, really proud of is I have gotten to the point where I can subconsciously know exactly what type of hook set I need. It's the weirdest thing, but even depending on the bite itself, I can feel the bite and I'm like, oh man, I need to set it like this. And I do it instinctively, but I've caught a lot of fish and I've fished a lot, but that's me tooting my own horn. I rarely ever slackline set it. I usually will reel down till I feel the fish and then set it back, which is kind of a reel set. I know a lot of guys will hold the rod up at 10 o'clock and then slowly reel it until they feel the fish and then set the hook. But I'm kind of doing the same thing. So Ian, AKK Yoda Mobbin, what's going on, man? Thanks for the $5. He says, thanks for all the great info. Just learned about your channel. Any tips for Central California? I'm in the valley. It's going to be 109 tomorrow. Woo! Of course, that's kind of a dry heat. At least that's what I remember about my buddy that used to live there. I don't know anything about fishing California. Your man is Greg Blanchard. Really. YouTuber. Great guy. I stayed with him in Texas when we were down there fishing that tournament. A really good dude. And he's from California. He fishes New York too, but he's from California, or he lives out in California. He'd be the one to ask about California lakes. So, and also Nick, the informative fisherman. So he was just on here a minute ago. I know he's gone now. So, all right, guys, I'm going to end this, but don't forget about our sponsor for this week is Signal Relief patches to help you when you're hurting. They're awesome. It takes the place of Tylenol. These things last for years and years and years, and they stop the pain. I don't know how this voodoo witchcraft stuff works, but it works, and it's awesome. It's a drug-free way to do it. Click on the link down in the description. You get, if you use the code Fluke1, you get a huge discount, and 40% of your $40 from your purchase goes to my favorite charity, Special Ops Survivor. So, like I always say, be sure to introduce somebody to fishing. Introduce them to my channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go out and catch some fish, and have a great day. We'll see you.